west of the Rockies. You're on the air.
Well, hello, Art.
Hello.
Scott from Graham, Washington.
Hello, Scott.
And this is something that happened over on the west side of the Olympic Mountains.
Yes, sir.
And it's up the Queets River. Anyway, there was four of us, and we had two pickup trucks and one camper on one truck. And we went up to this beautiful spot where the river, and on the other side of the river is a cliff with these just huge boulders, probably 5 to 1,000-pound boulders. Just huge.
Big rocks.
Big rock. And so we got up there, and it was dusk, and when it's dark up there, I mean, it is dark, and you can't even see your hand in front of your face.
Understood.
And so we decided to sit all in one camper and have a good old poker game.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all sitting around playing poker, and it was about 1:30 a.m., and we heard some splashes in the river, and we heard some grunts.
Grunts.
Yeah, just kind of huge grunts. So we figured it was probably a bear out there having fun in the river, you know.
Don't like grunts.
Yeah, and so after a while, the grunts seemed to get louder, and we heard like big rocks hitting each other. You know how you can hear the crack of rocks?
Of course.
And after a while, these rocks seemed to get closer and closer to our camper. And you could feel the rocks hit the ground outside to kind of a big thud. And I'm telling you, we all looked at each other and we said, nobody's going outside. I mean, we were armed to the teeth, but we were scared to death.
I wouldn't. You mean like those gigantic rocks, you know, coming out of the air and hitting the ground like that?
Yes. It's just like
bad.
somebody was over there throwing these huge rocks.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, I wanted to call you last week about the Sasquatch sounds because you wouldn't believe this. I mean, the hair on the back of our necks was standing up. It's standing up now.
Was it like the sound I've got?
It was close, but not really. I mean,
we're closer to the first one that Linda Howe sent or the second one?
The second one.
That,
and
you
these
mean
sounds...
that absolutely horrible, it was I don't know what I would call that. I would call that, it almost sounds human. To me, it sounded like a man in horrible, horrible agony. That's the only way I can think to put it. Is that about the way it sounded?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it, Art. It was just about like that, and it was echoing up and down the river, and it was terrible. We were terrified, and these rocks you could almost hear them whistling through the air, and they were crashing on the other side of our camper. They were hitting in the water, and the cracking of the rocks, and this went on, Art, for 3 hours. And we were
What do you guys
scared.
do? You just sit there and sort of shake at the table, or what?
We're on the floor of the camper. We just couldn't move. We didn't know if one of these rocks were going to hit us.
Now,
or
you
what.
see, that sounds realistic to me. That's where I'd be, floor of the camper. You betcha.
And we were armed to the teeth, let me tell you. And I was ready for anything. And this went on for 3 hours, and it was about like 4:30 in the morning, and the sun started coming up. And we're all looking at each other going, thank God.
Yeah.
Especially because I had to go to the bathroom. But anyway, and so we finally had enough nerve to go outside the door because the crashing and everything had stopped like about an hour before the sun came up.
See, I would have waited, too, for the crashing to stop and for the sun to come up. Okay, sounds good so far.
Okay, so we decided we'd go outside. And finally, we opened up the door, and we all got out, and I said, you guys get out here, you got to see this. And the other truck was just fine. But around our truck and the camper were these huge boulders in a circle around the camper.
Oh, my God. What, I presume to this day you have no idea what it was.
No, but it had to be something
awfully big.
Awfully big. Because it took us pushing with one truck and pulling with another to get him far enough out of the way so we could get the truck and the camper out.
That's an incredible story. Do you swear that's true?
Oh, yes. And this happened in 1975 because it's when I got out of the service, and all four of us got together because we used to go on camping trips when we were in high school. And to this day, when we get together, I mean, this, you know, this is something we always talk about.
You still talk about. I can imagine you would. Well, you know, that one is almost a topper. What an absolutely incredible story. And so that's where it ended. You hauled the rocks away, and that was it.
Yeah, we pushed them out of the way, and we got out of there, and I have never been up there again.
I can't blame you. Thank you.
I will not go.
Thank you very much for the story. Thank you,
Art.
Take care. something that big with those kinds of rocks. No, thank you. This is Ghost to Ghost AM. I'm Art Bell. For some, we'll be right back.